All right, guys, so this video is a recap from Monday's lesson, and for those of us that were still practicing with graphing, we're now graphing linear equations. All right, so what do those look like? So when I'm graphing a linear equation, I need to first identify my slope. So we remember our original format is y equals mx plus b. All right, our m, or our slope, always goes next to our x. And our b, or our y-intercept, is the one that's by itself. All right, so going to this first one, I see this number is by itself, so that's going to be my y-intercept. So my y-intercept is 1. And the one with the x is 2, so that is my slope. When I write my slope, I do not write 2x. Do not write 2x. That is wrong. My slope is just the number. All right, another thing about slope is I need to put it as a fraction. So if it's a whole number, my fraction is over 1. And that's going to help us graph, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. So this is my y-intercept. This is where I start. Okay, remember our y-intercept is on the y-axis. So I find 1 on my y-axis and I plot a point. That is my y-intercept. If I were to write this as a coordinate from last week, we remember that x is 0, y is 1. That's my y-intercept. Okay, so that's what I plot first. Now my slope is the next important thing. My slope tells me the direction that the line moves. So I always am going to go right as my bottom number. Okay, the top number, though, depending if it's positive or negative, tells me if the line goes up or down. So this is a positive slope, so that means my line goes up. So from my green spot, I'm going to go up 2 spaces to the right 1 space, and that's going to be my new point. Up 1. All right, and then once I see that pattern, I need to follow that pattern in the other way. So now I'm going to go opposite. Down, left, down, 2, left 1, down 2, left 1. And that creates my linear line. Another thing to be picky about, when I'm drawing my line, I need to make sure it connects straight and that it goes to the edges of my graphs. Okay? So now we're going to pick a coordinate and we are going to write any coordinate that falls on the line. So I'm going to pick this one. And if we remember from our last video, my x-axis goes first and then my y-axis. So I'm just going to highlight them like we did in the last video. So when I'm writing my coordinate, I need x first, then y. Okay, so here I have x first, so my coordinate is 2. And then my y is 5. So my coordinate is 2, 5. All right, let's do it again. So first I need to identify my slope. I see my slope is -1 over 2, or 1/2. So that's already a fraction, so that's good for us. And then our y-intercept is +4. All right, we start with our y-intercept. This is where it hits the y-axis. So I plot a point at 4 on my y-axis. Let me highlight those again. All right, now my slope tells me how it's going to move. So again, that bottom number is always going to go to the right. The top number this time is a negative, so that tells me it's going to go down. So now I'm going down 1 space, right 2 spaces. Down 1, right 2. Down 1, right 2. And same thing in the opposite direction. So I go back to my y-intercept, and now I'm going opposite. I'm going up, left, until I reach the edge of my graph. And once I reach the edge of my graph, I can connect the points. Make sure your line goes all the way to the edge. All right, we're going to pick a coordinate. I want to pick this one. Actually, let's pick this one. All right, so again, we do x first, then y. So my x is 4, and my y is 2. Can you pick a different one? All right, last graph. So first I identify my slope is -3. This is a whole number, so I need to put it over 1. And my y-intercept is -1. So we start here on my y-axis. So I find -1 on my y-axis. Let's highlight our y-axis. And our x-axis. All right, so I start here on my y-axis, and then my slope again tells me how to move. Again, bottom always goes to the right. My top number tells me up or down, so in this case, I am going down. So I go down 3 spaces, right 1 space. So if you notice here, I can't go down anymore because the graph ends. So now I go back to my y-intercept, and I'm going to go opposite. I'm going to go up 3, left 1. Up 3, left 1. All right, now I've reached the edge of my graph. I can connect the points and make sure, even though my dots don't go to all the way to the edge, I need to make sure my lines do. And we need to pick a coordinate. All right, so I'm going to pick this coordinate. That is x is -1 and y is 2. All right, as always, if you have any questions, type them in at the end of the video.